your host, and we are starting a series of podcasts on the topic eating disorder, which is typically underdiagnosed, untreated, and misunderstood in different developing countries due to religious and cultural perspectives. In our first episode, we are going to discuss specifically on obesity in both developing and developed countries with respect to cultural, scientific, and religious perspective. Today we have two very special guests on our podcast. First in line is Professor Dr. Madhiya Malik, who is also the CEO of Syntex Health Project and also the Director of Pharmacy, Hamdard University, and also the member of IEHCOM Working Group for Eating Disorder. And she is also the President of Eating Disorder Association for Pakistan. Next guest is Ms. Aisha Hashmi, COO Syntex Health Project and also VP of Eating Disorder Association for Pakistan. How are you both?
We're fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, and let's start with our first question with Dr. Madhiya Malik. Dr. Madhiya Malik, how do you perceive current scenario of obesity in developing countries, especially Muslim countries we're talking about?
Okay, well, Hamza, how I see basically, as you said, that today we are discussing specifically that most of the time eating disorders are misunderstood specifically in developing countries, and the basic concept or the basic idea behind this under-screening, or you can say the under-diagnosis of eating disorder, is most of the time related to cultural or to religious aspect. So if we talk about specifically obesity in developing countries, out of 671 million obese reported worldwide, they are reported, and out of them 50% of them live in 10 countries, major countries like China, US, Russia, India, Brazil, Germany, Egypt, Pakistan and Indonesia. So if you see that obesity is not only the problem of the Western world, it is also the problem of the developing countries, and specifically Pakistan being 9th in obesity out of 188 countries of the world. And if I just quote an analysis of 46 Muslim countries, so which is that the overall prevalence of obesity in these populations was 87.4%. And it is just acting, obesity is just acting like a giant killer for in most of these developing countries, and specifically in Muslim countries, because the culture and the richness of food over there, and the problem of urbanization, and now most of the people are also shifting from rural areas to urban areas, and most of the people are now also working. So the culture is very rich, the food is very rich, and that adds to the problem of obesity in these countries. So that's how I see, and I see that now it's not only the problem of the developed world, it's a big problem with developing countries. And the basic issue with developing countries, specifically Muslim countries, is that we do not spend most of our health budget on treating health as a priority. Only less than 1% of the health budget, specifically if I talk about Pakistan, is for is spent on health or is allocated on health. So there are no specific eating disorder services present in the country. And as far as I know, that most of the Muslim countries and most of the developing countries, we lack the infrastructure, we lack experts who are specifically treating obesity, or who are promoting activists, or we see a massive decrease in the advocacy campaign in these countries. So I think these are certain barriers which have led to underdiagnosis and misdiagnosis concept in most of the developing countries. And lastly, I just want to quote one thing, that if I talk with people specifically in Pakistan about the idea of eating disorder, most of them do not see it as a disorder, or they do not think that it is a sort of a mental illness. They think that it is just related to some sort of digestion issues, or that kind of issues. So the idea is totally neglected, or is totally misunderstood in specifically these countries.
Okay. So you think awareness is also an issue in these developing countries?
Yes.
Now coming towards our second guest, Dr. Aisha. Now my question for you is, as your organization Syntex is leading an active campaign on eating disorder in Pakistan, how do you see the scenario of obesity in Pakistan?
In Pakistan, the scenario of obesity is quite bad and its prevalence is rising. Pakistan has been ranked 9th among all the 188 countries of the world in terms of obesity. So we know the prevalence is rising, and there, as Dr. Madiha discussed, there are numerous factors for this rising prevalence, especially linked to our food and our culture. That why it's rising, and almost 1/4 of our Pakistani population is considered as overweight or obese, which is which is alarming rate. It is increasing at an alarming rate that the obesity or overweight persons are increasing. And the main problem is now we are seeing as a healthcare professional that obesity and overweight is now a problem of adolescents and children. It was never a major problem for adolescents and children. It was a major problem for age group, but now it is rising in the youngsters group, in the teenagers group, which is leading to various complications in the adult age group. So we need to focus on this topic. No one is basically discussing this topic at the moment in our country. No healthcare professionals are discussing or not taking it even serious. Our community is not aware of the consequences of obesity and what are the complications and what would be the future if we do not control or prevent it at an early stage in the childhood stage. Our organization and our research group also conducted a study of health-related quality in polycystic ovary syndrome and obese patients, and we observed that the body pain and emotional role and physical activity was reduced and affected in all these individuals, especially overweight and obese individuals. And we have also studied that almost 50% patients with PCOS suffer from overweight and obesity. And PCOS is becoming again more common in Pakistan in females. So they are almost half of the population, of the patient population, is also suffering from obesity. Yes. So we need to address this issue now.
Exactly. Now my next question is for Dr. Madiha. As being a Muslim and also being a researcher, I would like to know your perspective regarding obesity in relation to Islam and science.
Okay, as being a Muslim and obviously as being a researcher, I would like to first quote few verses from Quran, and then we are going to study the basic concept of obesity in terms of religion, specifically Islam, as well as science. So in Islam, basically Muslims are ordered by Allah Almighty to make balances in food and drink. And Allah says in Quran that, and those who when they spend are neither extravagant nor niggardly, but hold a medium way between those extremes. And this is a verse from Surah Al-Furqan, and the verse number is 67. Moreover, overeating is believed to be an enemy of our moral, healthy and spiritual life in Islam. And Allah again says in Quran that eat and drink, but be not excessive. Indeed, He likes not those who commit excess. So this is also a verse which has been taken from Surah Al-Raf, that is verse number 31. So you see that Islam always see everything in moderation, whether it is food, whether it is any other any lifestyle, or you say any matter which is related to our daily life. I would just like to quote 6 factors which are basically linked to management of capacity, which has been highlighted by Islam long ago. And now science has proven over the time that those 6 factors do play a vital role in management of obesity in the 21st century. So those different factors, first of all, the most important factor include the diet. That what sort of diet should be taken by the people to manage obesity. Islam encourages the advocates of moderation in this. I would like to narrate a saying by our Holy Prophet that a man who does not fill any vessel worse than his stomach, it is sufficient for the son of Adam to eat enough to keep him alive. But if he must do that, then 1/3 for his food, 1/3 for his drink, and 1/3 for the air. So you see, now this is a very balanced way of eating, which has been told by our Prophet, Muhammad, peace be upon him, and it was told like 1400 years ago. And now the concept of intermittent fasting, and fasting in small portions and after certain times has been the key to manage weight and obesity according to science now. Then the next factor is the water intake. like we have our holy water, that is Zamzam, and again our holy prophet, peace be upon him, he narrated that Zamzam water is what intends to drink it for, and when one drinks it to be healed, Allah has healed him. When one drinks it to be full, Allah makes him full, and when one drinks it to quench his thirst, Allah quenches it. And now, according to the modern science, it demonstrated, the research shows that the consumption of more than 1500 ml of water causes a modest decrease in body weight and BMI in overweight people, and if you keep your body hydrated, it helps you to lose weight. Then the third most important factor is the sleep, which also has a very important role in weight management. And Islam basically tells the Muslims that they should take the dinner at sunset and sleep early, and then they wake early at the dawn for worship, and preferably then they are said to that they should pray and meditate at that time, and then they do not sleep, and then they start their day. So this is the etiquette which has also already been told by Islam to the Muslims. And now research showed that the bedtime and the night time snacking are associated with obesity, so it's always better to take like 7 to 8 hours sleeps if you really want to lose weight. Then the fourth important factor is the physical activity, and the Muslims, in Islam, like we are always, we have been bound to pray 5 times a day, and the Prophet said that the farther one is from the mosque, the greater will be one's reward. So it's always, he encouraged the Muslims to walk for the prayer, to pray to the mosque 5 times from the house to, and when they cover. So it is a basic type of physical activity which is mandatory in Islam, and when do all those actions, so it's also a minimum kind of physical activity which one Muslim performs 5 times a day. And now you already know that if performing 15 minutes of cardio or brisk walk, it reduces the risk of obesity. It helps to manage obesity, as well as it managed to help your blood pressure and blood glucose levels. The second last important thing is that what type of foods you are taking in your diet for the management of weight. So basically, Quran emphasizes the use of certain foods like dates, olive oil, milk, fennel seeds, black curry, caraway, honey. And now the research has shown that all of these foods are helpful in management of obesity, and they should be included in our daily lives. Last but not the least, the concept of breastfeeding is very much endorsed in Islam, and Islam has ordered that those who can feed their children up till the age of 2.5 years, they need to breastfeed the babies. And now research has proven that breastfeeding was protective against childhood obesity. Like Aisha has already told that now the problem of obesity is in the adolescents or infants or at the younger age, especially the babies who are baby fat. So if they are breastfed by the mothers, so it reduces the risk of chances of obesity, childhood obesity. So I think that that's how I perceive the concept of religion, like being a Muslim, with respect to science.
That was a very comprehensive answer from Dr. Madhya. Now coming towards Dr. Aisha again. How do you perceive concept of obesity in relation to fasting, and how religion facilitates eating disorder?
As we know, fasting is compulsory in Islam, but this is a very beneficial thing in terms of obesity and reducing obesity and eating disorders. Why? Because intermittent fasting through research has been proven that it is beneficial in the treatment of obesity, and recent studies on experimental models show that a period of fasting and a longer period of fasting increases longevity, improves health, and reduces the chances of disease, and reduces obesity and weight also, and reduces the chances of developing of certain diseases such as cancers. So, as Islam encourages fasting, and Islam especially encourages fasting in regular days also on Monday and Thursday of every week, and 3 days in the middle of the lunar month, as well as the 9th and the 10th of the month of Muharram, which is the first month according to our Islamic calendar, and 6 days also in the month of Shawwal, which follows Ramadan, which is the proper month of fasting for Muslims. So this is a sort of an intermittent fasting routine, which is actually more popular nowadays and is termed as keto intermittent fasting, and people are using it for reducing their weight. Islam, so many years back, Islam in years back of fasting, and this type of intermittent fasting has demonstrated good results in terms of science and research also, and has been reported to be similarly or more effective than the continuous modest calorie restriction method, which with regard to weight loss, improved insulin sensitivity and other health biomarkers. So our month of Ramadan is similar to intermittent fasting, in which we fast for 7 to 8 hours and then we break our fast. So this 7 to 8 hours fast involves a temporary restriction of food, which leads to reduced weight and which leads to reduced craving of different foods also, which helps in reducing the obesity. And during this Ramadan period, Muslims abstain from eating, drinking from dawn till dusk, and also restrict taking oral medications as well as smoking. So all these factors help in reducing the weight and also reduce the chances of eating disorders. And there is no restriction on food intake during the sunset and dawn time, after the sunset and dawn time, although in Islam it has been instructed not to become gluttons and not to overeat the food, so we can prevent the chances of developing obesity. Muslims are advised to pray Tarawih prayers after the at the night time, usually in mosque, so that, as Dr. Madhya said, will promote the physical activity component also. And the main meal, which is or iftar, which is taken at the dusk time, usually at 6:30 or 7 p.m. in the evening, and that Islam has prescribed that we should start that with dates, and then followed by water, and then first read out prayers and then proceed to eating the food. So there's a certain gap, and we do just not do overfill us with food.
So it gives you a time to
digest and time to body to absorb the food, instead of overfilling us and getting moving towards obesity. Now I would like to clarify the second part of your question. Ramadan is compulsory for all Muslims, but Islam has given some relaxations in the Ramadan period and all the fasting time period. For example, a relaxation is given to those people who are sick, who are suffering from any disease which cannot be cured for that particular time period. Islam has given relaxation not to fast. Secondly, Islam has given relaxation for ladies who are pregnant, who are during the period of postpartum period, and for even those people who are in the period of battle or in the period of long traveling. Islam has given relaxation to not keep fast.
Now my last question for Dr. Madhya Malik will be, do you think there is any impact of culture on eating disorder and obesity, especially in developing countries?
Yes, I think culture has a lot of impact on obesity, especially if you see obesity is considered as a social taboo in most of these countries, because it is a part of body shaming is highly predominant. It is a part of our society and our culture, and then we see that usually the body dysmorphic disorders that are moderately prevalent is due to the impact of the culture, because in our families, even if in my family, we need to hear such kind of sentences so often from our childhood, that you are fat, you're becoming, you stuff yourself, or that kind of, without thinking that it might be anything which is linked to any sort of eating disorders. And with that social pressure to lose weight, in our society, to get married, because everybody has that typical ideal appearance for a female, or even then the pressure for so many women to lose weight in order to conceive a baby. So these kind of things, social taboos and the factors we face in these cultures, especially in these developing countries and the Muslim countries, because everybody has a typical kind of some stereotype physical appearance in their mind, and they want their children to be like that, or even if their wives or their husbands to be like this. Especially, I see women suffer more, and they are judged by their physical appearance in the Muslim world. I don't know why, but it's like more common in the developing countries and specifically the Muslim world, and they have that pressure and they see that. And I think that body shaming is, I don't know why it is, it has somehow become a part of our culture. And it is there since usually, since many years, and I don't know, people sit and they discuss such kind of things in their routine matters, like how you are looking, or you look fat, you look thin, and it's not associated to just being fat. It's also associated to being very skinny, extra thin also, and or even your complexion, or even your looks, or anything which is related to your physical appearance. So I think that yes, culture does impact a lot in creating that social taboo for obesity, specifically in Pakistan also.
Now, coming back towards Dr. Aisha, and my last question of this podcast will be, we have heard that you have recently launched an initiative to break the stereotype related to body shaming. Would you like to share that story?
Yes, sure. Basically, we aim to break the social taboo which is associated to unrealistic appearance and unrealistic ideals, and promote a healthy body image and self-esteem among our women and girls in Pakistan. And the story behind basically launching this initiative was that in Pakistan we have seen that there is unavailability of small as well as plus size clothes, especially pret wear or ready-made clothes for our girls. So the initiative name is basically Dhaga, which is a customized pret wear brand which provides all the dresses, traditional dresses as well as modern dresses of Eastern wear in any design or size for everyone. All our current brand ambassadors basically of Dhaga are common people from a community of every field, every age, every size and every appearance, who maybe are consider themselves as misfit in this society according to the beauty standards of our current society, but we have made them brand ambassadors so they can feel that they are feel confident that they are also beautiful, and they can also feel that they are beautiful and confident. And we hope that with all of your support we can break the stereotypes of this body shaming and empower the young girls and women of our society.
I just would like to add a few, like Aisha has already explained very well about this initiative, but I would just like to add a few lines in that. That the idea behind this was that we also wanted to screen the people of having some sort of eating disorders. So basically what we do is that we also screen our customers with the eating disorders, and we also send some awareness material regarding the myths which are related to eating disorders, and the awareness which they need to have for their kids or for themselves, like if they are suffering from some sort of eating disorder, or how to manage it, or where to seek help. So we are also promoting that eating. It's also a promotional awareness campaign for eating disorders, that we always include that packet, that awareness material inside our packages with them, and our team is continuously following them on telephones or through emails, and we're asking them about that, what is their basic understanding of eating disorders now, and lastly I would like to add that we have a beautiful notion for Dhaga, that we believe that size does not matter. So be yourself, be beautiful.
Thank you so much both of you for your precious time, Professor Dr. Madhiya Malik and Dr. Aisha, for your precious time. Indeed, it was an enlightening discussion. I hope certain misconceptions related to religious perspective after discussing in scientific context would have been clarified for our audience. Thank you so much both of you for your time, and I hope to see you back again for the next episode and some on the same interesting topic on eating disorder. Any last words from you both?
Yes, sure. Let's break the stereotypes of eating disorders together. Do act now.